First time we are actually going to be doing what's called a macOS command line tool, right? It's command line. We've seen command line, we've seen terminal, but we'll be creating an application using the macOS command line tool. Now let's see where to get that. Open Xcode, and we go to File. We go to New, where it says New here. We go down to Project. Do we all see Project? Click on Project. Okay. Make sure there's iOS in the menu up top. We see iOS, correct? We click iOS, not iOS. We see watchOS, correct? We see tvOS. And we see macOS, correct? So we're creating what? A macOS command line tool. Do we see that? Do we see command line tool here? So make sure you select that.
Wait, where's command line tool?
So make sure macOS is highlighted. If iOS is highlighted, you won't see macOS command line tool here. It's only on macOS. macOS, the laptop is macOS. The laptop is running macOS. You guys have macOS version Mojave. I have macOS version Catalina. That's the newest version coming out October 4th, according to the rumor mill. So macOS here, command line tool. Go ahead and click Next. For the project name, we'll call it readLine Demo. readLine Demo. So readLine. No parentheses. No. That's a function call. Just readLine Demo. One word. Okay? ReadLine Demo, your team is selected. Your organization has an organization. Your organization ID is the reverse domain of a website if you have one. It's not required. The bundle ID is reversed along with your project name. And the language is Swift. There's other languages, C++, C, Objective-C, CCs. So we use Swift, right, everybody? At this point,
I don't have a team.
one of the IAs will help you get a team on your computer if you don't have a team. So we have language is Swift. And we click Next. Save it in your Unit 1 folder so you have access to it. Do not select GitHub because you have a Git already. Everybody with me? Please, do you see where it says source control? Make sure that box is unchecked. Okay, make a new one if you checked it. Make sure where it says source control is unchecked. Okay, if you have account issues, raise your hands, and one of the IAs will help you with your Apple account login. Okay? Great. So at this point, you want to click on Create. And now you have a project open. Are we all in our project? Okay, let's navigate a little bit. In the navigation pane on your left, the left column here is called the navigation pane, right? That's where you navigate around your project. Currently, the only file we're interested in is called main.swift. Click on main.swift. Did we click on main.swift? Great. Okay, my thing is good. Great. So in main.swift, we see comments. Now we know what comments are, correct? We see our name, we see main.swift, we see the name of our project, the date it was created, copyright information here. Yeah, look at that, fancy lady. Import foundation, we've seen import UIKit. Import foundation, foundation is a framework. It allows us to be able to use For example, the print function is part of that framework. Print is part of foundation. Foundation is this huge framework. Arrays, strings, all that is part of foundation. I'll show you guys more about Apple documentation, but foundation is huge. Okay? Great. So we have hello world here. If you want to run your application, you could press Command R, like we saw with the iOS app. So Command R runs your application, it builds and it runs the application. It builds for any errors that you might have, and it also runs it. In that case, it runs it, meaning we saw an app when we did the Swift UI app. We saw the simulator come up. Yes?
Sorry, I got a message. It said co-design wants to access the Apple development in your keychain.
Did it ask you for a password?
Yeah.
Enter the password for your computer, the one you use to log in. If it's asking for keychain password, enter the password that you logged in with the computer on. So, you clicked on Command R, it did two things. It built the application for any errors that you might have, and it also ran the application, and the console opened up. That bottom area down here is called the console. Where you see hello world, program ended with no errors, that's the console. If you want to see more, the entirety of your console, do you see at the bottom where there's two blue boxes? Do we see that? If you click on the leftmost box, the console gets wider. Yes? So it gives us more space. Do we see that? If you drag up the console, it takes up more space as well. You could drag it up and down based on what you want. Do we see that? Okay, great. So we have hello world there. We've seen print. Print is a function. It takes a string. That string is hello world. So it just tells us hello world, right? Great. We could enter any string there. This is great. Now let's go ahead and actually get to use readLine, which we spoke about. So the intention of this lesson is to use readLine. Use readLine function to get input from the user. Great. So let's edit this print statement. Enter how many days you will bike, run, or swim this week. Okay? We're asking a question. So we're asking the user a question, enter how many days you will bike, you'll swim, bike, run, swim, bike, or run this week. Okay? Great. In that case, yes. This happens to be a triathlon. Okay? Sorry, I'm just like this guy. Okay, so great. So now we want to be able to capture the user's data. So we have number of days here. Number of days. We saw readLine. Well, we haven't seen readLine, but we'll see readLine now. So readLine is a function similar to print. All it does is get input from the user. Okay? Let's just test this out. So print, you entered number of days. Look at that. So we start typing number. What do we notice? What type is it? On the screen, what type is this? Optional, right? It's an optional string. Look at that, right? It's an optional string. So that's why we saw optionals before. So let's go ahead and continue. Just press enter. Now it's an optional string. Okay? Forget about the warning for now. We'll get to the warning. But go ahead and run your application. Command R. Command R, our console should have a prompt right now. Does our console have a prompt? Enter how many days you will swim, bike, or run this week. Do we see that? If you go ahead and you click, your mouse click in the console, this is my mouse, I click right beneath the word enter, and enter any number thing you want. I'll enter 10. You could enter any number you want. I'll press enter. It tells me you entered optional 10. Do we see that? I put in 10, but you could put in any number or string you want. We'll do it again. So let's run it again. Run the application again, Command R. Do we all see the prompt in the console? The black text, the white text on the black background. Do we see that? Do we all see that? Yes. Okay, great. With your mouse, click beneath the sentence there. Click beneath it. You'll see a white cursor. Do we see the cursor? At that point, you could enter any value you want. It asks you a question. You could enter any value you want at this point. So we enter 5, 3, 4, whatever number we want, how many days we're going to work out. I put 5 and press enter. It tells me the number I entered. Do we see that? So readLine takes input from the user. And then you could use that input in this variable. So we took the input from the user and we assigned it to number of days. And now we could use number of days anywhere in our program. This is one of the essential parts of having a variable. Do we see that? So variables we saw starting Wednesday, we saw variables. And now we could use a variable to store information from the user. And now we could do anything with that number we have. But we have to also deal with the optional. Because what if we're expecting an int and the user enters a string? No longer can we use that string. So for example, if I enter 5, the word 5, I press enter, optional 5, right? But we'll see how we should unwrap this so it's better used. Okay. So for example, if I force unwrap, which we saw earlier, right? Warning goes away. So far so good? Okay. Warning goes away. Option click on number of days. It's a string, correct? Great. So number of days is a string. I unwrapped it. Let me take out the force unwrap here. So if we cast this like we did earlier to an int, I put int and I close it with an open parent and a close parent. So far so good? Yes? If I force unwrap it here using the bang, and I also force unwrap readLine here. So I force unwrap two things. I force unwrap readLine. I force unwrap readLine here with the bang here. Do we see that? Right? ReadLine, open parents, close parents, bang. Int casting, and also forced unwrapped it, right? So I force unwrap the inner part. I force unwrap the outer part. Everybody with me? Okay. So right now, number of days is what type? Option click on number of days. What type is it? It's an integer, correct? So I could use this integer, for example, say plus 10, right? This is valid. Command B builds the application. So Command B builds without running. Let me put some notes here. So Command R, right? Command R builds and runs the application. And Command B B only builds and checks for errors. Right? So command B builds and checks for errors. In that case, we did a command B. We have no errors. So far, so good? Okay. Now we want to run the application. So we'll command R. Command R your application. Click beneath the enter. Yeah.
Every single time I type command R, I get a thing that says stop readline demo. This is,
Oh, because it's running already. So you were trying to override the run. So it tells you, do you want to cancel or stop, correct?
do I just don't press?
Don't press it, it's running already. In other words, it's running already. Do you want to stop me from running? I'm not fully ran yet, and you're pressing me again. I'm in the midst of running. Our ears are gonna circulate. So, Antonio. Okay, so enter enter how many days you want to swim, bike, run, correct? If I enter 5 and I press enter, all is great, right? You entered 15, whatever, that's some logic we could fix, but we have 15. So far, so good? Run the application again, command R again, and this time, instead of 5, we'll type in 5, like the word 5. And press enter, right? Fatal, look at that. Remember earlier, right? Right now, our app crashed, right? Fatal error, unexpectedly found nil. Right? Fatal error, unexpectedly found nil. Right? Unexpectedly found nil while unwrapping an optional value. We took a risk. We said the user will always enter a valid integer, no matter what. But guess what? Always assume that user is not as smart as you. Right? The user enters whatever they're expecting. They said number of days. You didn't tell them how to enter it. So they entered FIVE. App crashes. The user is mad. They delete your app. They give you 1 star on the App Store. Right? They tell their friends, don't download that app. It's buggy. Right? So we need to fix this. We'll fix it using nil coalescing. Okay? Yes?
I'm a little confused because in readline and readline, there's no value in there. So what value exactly is it looking for?
The one the user is typing in.
Okay, so the readline is always a readline for our end. In the code.
Readline is only a prompt to tell the user to get the user's information. Readline, like take that input,
Okay.
grab that input from the console, and I want to use it. Very good. So Tiffany's question was the readline. Can you expand on that? Readline takes input from the user. I enter 5, it grabs that 5. I enter 10, it grabs that 10. And now you could use it throughout your application. It still doesn't work if. Do you have? Are you adding here?
No. When you readline,
Let me rewind. So let me run my app. Yours is very similar to what I have on screen, correct? Okay. I come in here. Quotation marks? Oh, that's going to work, right? That's a string. That's valid int. That's a valid int. But if you enter the word 5, right? If you enter the word 5, it's going to crash. Like typing out FIVE doesn't work?
no, like value 5 with the strings on it, because int and the
We'll come around and see what's actually happening. Anybody else? Did it not crash for you? It crashed, right? So it crashes because this is no longer a valid integer. I enter 8, I press enter, it's not a valid integer, it's going to crash. I run my app again. I enter the number 8, it's happy, right? So let's fix this with nil coalescing. Let's run the app again. So you want to click beneath the sentence that says enter how many days. Each time you need to run the application. Okay? On Monday, we'll see what repeat while looks like. We're not going to do it today. There's time. On Monday, we'll see what loops look like, where you could have it always running until the user says, no, I'm done. Okay? So this is good. So let's refactor our code to use nil coalescing so that doesn't happen. So you entered int readLine here. We could default to some number, 1, -1 probably here. And on the integer itself, we could also use nil coalescing and default to -1. So bear with me. We have our inside function, which gets called first, takes the user's input, nil coalesces it because it's a string, gives me a default value of -1. All is good here. Whatever value this is, I'm trying to convert it to a valid integer here with the open parens. If it's not a valid integer, I'm using nil coalescing here to give it a default value of -1. Okay? If we were to run the application again, Command R, and I enter 5, my app doesn't crash anymore, right? Because now I'm using -1. If the user entered a bad value, number of days will be -1. Do we all see that? Because readLine itself is optional, right? ReadLine itself is optional. There could be an instance where it's nil, right? But it's an optional, so you need to unwrap it as well. Because in order, basically, we want to give back, if this is nil, right? If this is nil, I want to give it a valid value. The valid value is this string here, which is -1. Okay? And at that point, we need to basically unwrap both of them. Both of them are optional. Readline is optional, and int casting is optional. So we have to use nil coalescing on both of them. Okay? If I do not use nil coalescing here, like that, right? Value, let me not fix this. So value of optional type string must be unwrapped to a value of type string. In other words, my int parens is expecting a string, not an optional string. Why can't readLine be unwrapped into a string? Like, give me an example. What do you want me to do? Like here, like this? Like just like that? That's fine. That's okay. We could do that, but what happens is int now gets this empty string, and it will still work, right? But we want to show intention, so we show it -1. So it's consistent with the outside -1. Okay? Okay. Question. What's the error? Cannot use optional chaining. Make sure that you're using nil coalescing here. And make sure that you are using nil coalescing here. And make sure that you have the parens as well. Okay. Is anybody else getting errors on their console? On their, yes. Okay, so build it again. Command B. It's failed, right? Okay, what I'm gonna do is select what I have right now. So we're all on the same page, and we could continue. Everybody with me? Okay, so, yes, sir. Enter 9. Because we added 10 minus 1.
Oh,
Yeah, no problem. So, yes, sir.
Whenever especially when it says you enter 9, I mean, there's no space between you enter the 9.
1 second. So this is version 1. Version 1 of readLine preview. Okay, great. So again, all of us should have the updated code that I'm working on right now. If you're in a state where you are having issues, paste this into your command line so we could continue. Okay, cool. Let's continue. We'll create a constant here because we will be changing. Yes, sir. Your hands are up. Where am I 10? That was just testing. To break it, right? To break the app, that was just a test. Okay. Everybody with me? Okay, so let workout count equal to number of days. We'll take this out and actually continue building the app. Okay, print by itself creates a new line. It creates a space between our enter how many days and the user's input. So print by itself creates a new line. That's it, right? Let me just put some comments in here. Creates. Yeah, that was just a test. That was just a test, yeah. So creates a new line. Continue, great. I will show repeat while, but we'll go through it again on Monday. But for now, type out as is, and we'll go through it on Monday. So repeat while says, hey, go ahead and run once while some condition is true. Again, this is new. We'll revisit it on Monday. Monday's loops, we'll come back to it on Monday. Repeat while, number of days is greater than 0. Great. Okay, so number of days is whatever the user entered, and repeat this while number of days is greater than 0. Again, on Monday, we'll go through loops. This is a loop here. It's called repeat while. Repeat while loop. Okay, so far so good, good. Okay, so if number of days equal to 0, we saw if before. So if this condition is true, right, you're not working out, right? So I'm not even going to continue the program. I will just break. Break here just exits. Break exits the loop. If you come into my program, I tell you enter number of days, you enter 0, I'm done. I'm done. Okay. Else, if number of days equal to -1, break here. We'll fix that logic. Great. Moving on. Yes, sir. I will slack out the end result. We have time restraint. I'll slack out the end result of it. But it gives us that context to start building. So next up, I want to say print, enter the type of workout, for example. It could be a swim, it could be a bike, it could be a run. So far, so good. And you could do read lines as many times as you want. Anytime you want to get input from the user, you run the readLine function. In that case, we want to get the workout. So let workout equal to readLine. It's an optional. I lowercase the optional. Okay. I'll put a space after the user enters the workout. So here again, that print just creates a new line. We'll go through it again on Monday. I'll either reiterate that again. This is the first time we're seeing those concepts, but to give us some context for what we need to think about for the project, this is what we're given. Yeah. It's coming back. That's a preview. That's a preview, right? Okay, so coming back up, we saw switch earlier, so we could switch on the workout. We could switch on the workout. In that case, I could say case swim will print some statement for the user here. I'll slack it out and we'll go over it. Case bike, I'll print for the user. Case run, great. Yeah, sure. Here, actually, let me get some more space here. Good? Is that good?
All right, so I have some errors on my part. Because updates, you said,
I'll slack it out. So let's get to the end of it. I'll slack it out. We'll go over it. Okay? It. What line number?
right there said, let workout count equals, or so I have that, then it said, point underneath this said, repeat, it's supposed to have a while. I have a thing that says it's supposed to have while.
We have a while down here. You have a while down here after the close bracket.
So,
Repeat while. Do you have a while at the end on line 42?
no, not yet, because I didn't write all the other stuff.
Let me slack out where I am right now. I'll slack out where I am right now. If you have any errors, grab the code. That's a preview, guys. Yeah. So there we go. So I sent it out. This is the most updated version we have. Okay? All right. We have an error here. Switch must be exhaustive. What should we do? Default. Awesome. So default. Oh, the default should be inside, sorry. So here we have default here, and we'll have a print statement. Great. So, for the swim, we'll say swim string interpolation int, bear with me, random in some number, 1 to 100. We saw range. This is a range. Random is the next function we're going to see. Random basically takes a range and returns to any random number. Okay? Again, you might do that for your game, right? If you want to randomize some value. So in that random, open parens, close parens, expects a range. In that case, we give it 1 to 100. So the computer will pick some random number between 1 and 100. This is random. Randomly pick a number between 1 and 100. It includes 100. We saw range earlier. It includes 100. Everybody with me? Okay. So swim X amount of length of the pool. Okay? So if it's a swim, then swim X amount of length of the pool. It could be 1. You could be lucky and be swimming 99 lengths of the pool, which is insane. Right? But that's what the workout is. Yes, sir?
For the swim, last of the book, put the space after the last parentheses, after the parentheses.
Where am I? Here?
Yeah, right. Did you put that space?
Oh, let's see. Swim 5. Yeah, put a space there. Because whatever gets in here, you want the space before it, after it, so it reads better.
Okay, yeah. That's what
All right, cool. Great. So let's just copy this line. The one time we could do actual copying. And paste it on 35. Paste it on 37. And we'll just change the context. So if it's a swim, this is a swim. If it's a bike, then you will bike X amount of laps around Central Park. Right? If it's a run, you'll run X amount of laps around the track. Instead of laps, let's do loops here. There's a loop, right? Okay, so if the case is a swim, swimmer runs 5 lengths of the pool, for example. If case is bike, the user bikes 6 loops around Central Park. If it's a run, the user is running 6 laps around the track, right? That's the switch statement here. That's what it captures. We saw that this morning. Default, the user doesn't want to swim, bike, or run. Enjoy your workout. Or maybe just put in no such workout. Up to you here. Okay, no such workout. Cool. It's very important that we decrement. We'll see what decrement is on Monday. But basically, you need to have a condition here so that the while loop or whatever exhausts itself, right? So each time you have 5 days, right? So it goes to 4 days, 3 days. Example, if you have entered 5 days, every time this runs, it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay? So 5, right? So every time this here number of days gets decremented. This is decremented. Decremented. Right? So we decrement by 1. We minus 1 each time the loop runs. So we want to get down to 0, and you're done. All right, so this is called decremented. We're very close, and I'll slack it out, and we'll go over it. Okay. Should I slack out? How are we doing? Slack out? Okay. So we're in a good state. Let me make sure it builds before I slack it out. It builds, no errors. I will slack it out here. Nope, that's not what I want. I want nice highlight in here. But maybe take what I slacked out so you're on the same page. Yeah. Okay, I slacked it out. Okay, we are good here. Let's continue. So after we go through the first loop, let's just put a a new line. So we want to just make it formatted properly. So every time you want a space between your lines, just put print. It creates like a space between your lines. So here, again, space between lines, or creates. Cool, that's good. Okay, last statement for the day. We will create this switch here on workout count. Okay? Case. Guys, we're coming back to this. Okay? There'll be days where we see stuff, we come back and we see it again. That's one of the days. We have a project to build. We build it, we see it, we come back Monday, we go through loops again. You've seen it once, it helps. Sometimes it's better to just pay, see the screen, see it. You digest it for the first time, you come back, you see it again. It's like, okay, I got it now. It's at the end of the day, right? Long week. Don't overwhelm yourselves. All right, cool. So case -1 here. We'll say print bad data was entered. Bad data. Bad robot. Case 1 to 5, not including 5, as we saw earlier. We saw ranges earlier. We'll say print. Good job this week. Look at here, look at here. And case 5 to a million, trillion, alien, we will say print rockstar. Rockstar is good, I like that. Let me put that in. You're a rockstar. Get some stuff going there. We need fire. We need fire. Just get fire. Copy that fire. Get some more fire going. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. So we got fire. Let's get a little swim thing going here. Swim. Swim. Come on. Come on, come on. Swim. 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 Awesome. We got some bike going here. Bike. And we got run. Run, 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 Forest, run. Awesome. And what else do we need here? Default. Very good. What are we telling them? We'll tell them, hope you'll be back next week. The what? Slacker. Slacker is a good one. You want to say slacker? Let's say slacker. Cool. I think we're in good shape to test it out. Actually, let's test it out and I'll slack it out and we'll go over it. So Command R if you're in a good space here with me. Enter how many days? I will enter 3. I'll press enter. It's asking me what workout. I want to say swim. It tells me swim 21 lengths of the pool, which is not bad. I say enter the type of workout again. I say bike. It tells me bike 23 loops around Central Park. It asks me what workout again. I say I want to run. It tells me run 55 laps around the track. Ugh, brutal. Good job this week, right? Because look, we only did 3 workouts. Good job. So let's run it again and do 5 workouts. So 5 workouts. enter workout, swim. Actually, yeah, swim. 66 lengths of the pool. I want to run. Run 44 laps of the pool. Run 44 laps around the track. I want to swim again. Because I entered wrong information. So at this point, you were a rock star, right? You did the workouts, you did 5 workouts, and you get your fire, right? So let's slack it out, and let's go over it. Da, 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 da. You have the code. Part of developing, by the way, part of developing, let me say it now. Part of being a developer, you will get to a code base where you have no idea what's happening. Guys, you with me? You have no idea what's happening. You go through it step by step. We use Google, we use our notes, we use our resources, we use each other. What's happening on line 29? Have I seen that in class? No. Can I look at lecture? Yes. Can I Google? Yes. Part of being a good developer is going through line by line what is happening. We're learning. We'll see it again on Monday. We'll see loops. We'll see repeat while. We'll see for loops. We'll see while loops, right? We'll see it again on Monday. But now we have this code to play around with and start getting ideas as to what we want to build. Let me send it out. Do you have an infinite loop? I will suck it out. Everybody, please, regardless of what state you're in, grab the code that I send so that we're all on the same page. Code here, I will say final version of readLine demo. I'll paste it in. It is Swift. I'll say create snippet. So at this point, everybody should have the working version. Okay? So I'll go over it, but again, please, we'll go over this again on Monday, but you have context. Top down, the big thing we need to know is optionals, how to deal with optionals so your project doesn't crash. How to unwrap an optional, we saw that. We know how to cast data types, we saw that. And the new thing we saw today was repeat, or this afternoon, was repeat while. Repeat while basically is, it says repeat some condition or repeat a set of instructions while something is true, right? So repeat while condition is true, right? So that block of code in here in the curly bracket, execute code, it executes the first time, right? It executes the first time top down, right? The code is being read top down. It goes from line 18, 19, 20. It sees the repeat while. It goes to 21. It executes the code, goes to line 22, checks the condition. If it's valid, if it's true, it goes back to the repeat again, goes back to the while, checks again, gets going back again. Until it's false, it ends. Okay? Everybody with me? We'll come back on Monday and see what it looks like again, but that's what you have. You have the code, it works. So that's basically a command line app. I want to show you one more thing and we're done. It's a command line app because you could run it in terminal. We could go to terminal and run that application. Okay? So let's go to terminal. Open your terminal. Everybody has the terminal open? Does everybody have the terminal open? Everybody has the code I slacked? Does everybody have the code I slacked? Yes. Is it working?
No, actually. I have my copy and your copy has mine.
The thing is, like, when they copy it, it's like little pastation.
Okay, we'll come around and help you with that. That's an Xcode bug, copy paste, right? Inside of, we'll get that working at the end of the day, before the end of the day. So, people's code that's working, navigate to where you saved your command line app. Mine is on the desktop. wherever you have your command line app saved, navigate to it. We know how to use CD, correct? Okay, so I'm going to navigate to desktop because mine is on the desktop. I will ls. I will see readLine demo. I will CD into readLine demo. I'll press enter. Okay, so CD inside your readLine demo. Yes? Yes? Okay. When you're in your CD line demo, give me a thumbs up. Okay. You type ls, you should see two folders. There's a readLine demo, and there's a readLine demo.x project. I'll give us some time to get in there. If I'll put it working. I will zip my code over to you. Everybody? I will zip my code over to you, so it's working, 100%. Let's go to Slack here. Let me get my dot. Just CD into it, and we haven't done anything yet. But I want everybody to be working, so I want to compress this so we all have it. Okay, so I'm going to Slack out the project itself. So there's no way this does not work. So computer, get my zip, and full project. Everybody up here, I'm compressing my project, zipping it over to you. You double click on the zip and you run the project from there, okay? If we're not sure what that is, we're coming around and we're helping. So I've zipped out the project. So now we should all have a working version. I'll go back to command line. I will ls. Again, I see what I have, readLine demo. I want to navigate inside of readLine demo. So readLine demo also has the next readLine demo in there. Navigate inside of that readLine demo. What's that? So you want to navigate until you see one file. What's the file called? Main.swift, right? That's where we have our code, correct? That's where we edited that file. So at this point, I could type in Swift, everybody with me? Swift, all lowercase. Swift, all lowercase, space, main, tab, right? So on my terminal, I have Swift space main.swift. Everybody? I press enter. And now I could play my game, right? Command line tool, command line application. I could play my game in terminal right now, okay? I could actually send my game to anybody if they have Swift or Xcode installed, rather. They could play my game, right? So you could actually build apps already. Everybody with me? So, coming to you. So far, we could play the game. Same thing, I could enter 5 here. It asked me enter type of workout. I could enter workout is swim. Next workout is a bike. Next workout is a run. Next workout is a bike. Next workout is a swim. And my game plays. Everybody with me? Okay, awesome. So that's the lecture for readLine. We have the video. We could come back to it. And Monday, we come back and talk about loops. Everybody with me? Okay, awesome.